Penelope woke up well rested after a good night's sleep, then she was shocked. Who on earth is this young man? 1 week ago, Count Gordon, her fiancé, stated he apologized. Penelope replied, "Fine." The Count asked, they had been engaged for over 2 years, and yet he sees that her feelings about him are the same as hers. She doesn't love him at all. Penelope asked, did he love her? The Count replied, yes, he did. But that's in the past. He plans to love another woman from now on, and he shall take his leave. After that, Penelope stated, good grief, did he have a lot to say for someone who was asking to break off an engagement? Then she thought she had a secret. She remembered her past life. In her first life, she was a grumpy old woman who shouted at everyone. She tried hard to forget her past life and live as Penelope, a nobleman's daughter, but she could not get the lady inside her to cooperate. 1 week later, nobles were chatting. They heard the fiancé of Baron called off their engagement. He married only a week later to a woman who had just made her debut. Penelope thought they didn't deserve to be happy. He could not have picked a better way to humiliate her. Then, after some time, Penelope stated, what a beautiful night. The best way to get over something is with the devil's water. Just when she was about to feel some affection toward that big-nosed idiot, she hoped a dog bites his manhood off. Now she is starting to feel better. The alcohol is really hitting her now as she yelled. She better go home and sleep it off. Oh no, that's not going to be good. The next moment, she was picked up by someone. The person stated she has a foul mouth for a novel woman. Penelope asked, who? Then she thought, what is he saying? She doesn't know who this strapping young man is. Then she fell asleep. Then, back at the present time, Penelope thought she didn't remember what happened after that. Not only is she no longer engaged, but she is also in bed with a strange man. What does she do? Well, there is only one thing to do in this situation. She needs to get out of here, Penelope thought. Sorry, young man. Oops, she didn't wake him up. Now that she has actually taken a good look at him, he has a handsome face, and is that what the kids call a six-pack? It is alluring, that's for sure. So, she guesses he and she saw all the wonders of the world last night. There is no need to agonize over this, it was just a mistake. After some time, the person thought, how dare she leave him while he was sleeping? Should he reward her if he catches her or punish her? The next scene, Penelope thought her house is the best place to be. She wonders if that young man is awake. Now to get those perverted thoughts out of her head. The next moment, her brother Parian came and asked what she is doing. Could it be his poor sister? She is not herself after that man broke her heart. He knows she is bad at socializing, and nobody can call her sweet, but he wants to know that he is on her side. Penelope shouted, that's it. She can't stand to listen to him spout nonsense. Get out. Parian replied, if she can't stand, then sit. Penny penny nay 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 nay. Penelope stated she told him not to make fun of her name. Parian replied he does what he wants. Penelope pp. Then out of her room, Parian thought he is glad she is not moping anymore. After some time, Penelope's only friend, Rubia, shouted she wishes she could just go and hit that idiot man. She can't believe he married 1 week after he broke off her engagement. By the way, where was she last night? Penelope replied. What do she mean? She was at home. Rubia told her Parian was distraught about her not coming back home, but she lied and said she was at her house. She was so happy at first because she thought he had sent her a personal letter. Penelope thought Rubia had been in love with Parian for 5 whole years. It's hard for her to understand why she thinks he is a clown. Rubia asked, but seriously, where did she spend the night? Penelope replied she was just staying over at a friend's house. Rubia asked, but she is her only friend. Penelope replied she spent the night with someone she doesn't remember because she was drunk. Then she told her the whole story. Rubia asked, so what was he like? Do she remember any features that might identify him? Penelope replied he is handsome. His hair was silver, and he was in his mid to late 20s. Rubia stated, no, it can't be. It's probably someone who just looks like him. Penelope asked, what does she mean? Do she know who it is? Rubia whispered something, and Penelope stated, the Emperor. The next scene, that person was actually the Emperor. He missed his short, Duke Oliver, who is also the Emperor's faithful servant and Prime Minister, spoke. He didn't think that the Emperor ever missed. The Emperor asked if it appeared he had something he wanted to say. The Prime Minister replied, he is having trouble figuring out what is on His Majesty's mind these days. He went to a ball, which is very uncharacteristic of him, and then he returned in the morning. Was it because of a certain lady? The Emperor replied, what if it was? Is he going to object? The Prime Minister thought, good haven, he has fallen deeply for her, then replied, of course not. He was just surprised that the Emperor had a change of heart. None of the ladies have caught his attention since he came back from the war 10 years ago. The Emperor spoke, she is special. She is different from all the rest. The Prime Minister asked if he is thinking of sending a letter asking for her hand in marriage to her family. The Emperor replied, that is the last resort. He wants to win her heart. Then he thought he would approach her slowly and organically as possible so she will want to be close to him. The Prime Minister asked where he is going. The Emperor replied he is going to make an inspection of the capital. The Prime Minister thought he is going to see that lady. He is glad to hear that he has taken an interest in someone, but he feels as if there will be a great disturbance in the peace of the palace. On the other hand, Penelope suddenly felt something. Rubia asked, what's wrong? Penelope replied she doesn't know why, but she has a feeling that something bad is about to happen. Rubia stated it's probably the thing. Forget about it, and tell her how she looks. Does she think her brother will take one look at her and fall in love? Penelope replied she looks gorgeous, and Parian doesn't deserve her. Rubia replied, great, then she will go try on one more dress. After some time, the Countess came with Penelope's ex-fiancé. The Countess stated it looks like Penelope came here to shop for new clothes. That makes so much sense. She's getting older now. She heard that Penelope is only 5 years younger than her aunt. Penelope replied yes. Interestingly, the Count was deeply in love with little old her for 2 years. She only agreed to the engagement. He wanted love that put her in an awkward situation. She can't make herself love someone when she doesn't have any romantic feelings for them. She was so relieved he found someone who loves him passionately. Then she thought, little girl, she is no match for her. Suddenly, a poor old lady asked if she could spare a little change. The Countess pushed her and stated, a lowly beggar. How dare she touch her with dirty hands? Penelope thought she felt really bad for her, and asked if she was all right. Take this moment somewhere she can sit down. The Countess stated, how disgusting. She doesn't know why people like this exist. She needs someone to bring her a new dress immediately. She is going to spread her old beggar disease to her. Penelope spoke, the only disgusting thing here is her personality. Rubia asked, what's going on? Then Penelope slapped her. All of them were shocked. Penelope stated, do she think she can treat the elderly however she want just because she are young and noble? Everything she are proud of, like her noble status and youth, were all given to her because she were just lucky. Don't mistake luck for privilege, she rude woman. The Countess replied, how dare she slap her? She is just the daughter of a baron. Penelope thought, oh dear, she has gone and made a mess of things. The Count stated, apologize to her. The Countess spoke, no, there is no need for that. Children's sins are a parent's responsibility. She will make the baron and his wife pay for what she did. Penelope thought she was going to punish her parents for what she did. The Countess spoke, but if he begs for her mercy by getting down on the floor like a lowly beggar, then she may reconsider. Penelope thought she didn't regret slapping her, but she didn't want her parents to bow down to the Countess because of her. Then she said she would do it. The Countess said, look, Count, she is nothing. He will regret it if he marries this old woman at that time. Penelope thought she can't let that get to her. This will all be resolved if she tames her temper. Suddenly, a person grabbed her and said, get up. Penelope thought, who is he? The Countess spoke, and who is he? Doesn't he see that she is in the middle of apologizing to her? The Emperor replied, she is the one being rude here. Penelope is not someone she can treat like this. This lady is engaged to His Majesty. All of them were shocked. Penelope thought, engaged to His Majesty? What kind of baloney is this? It came out of nowhere. It's like the feeling she gets when he is having fun dancing to old songs, and then she suddenly throws out her back. The Countess stated, that makes no sense. Why would His Majesty marry this lowly? The Emperor cut her sentence and said, is she implying that His Majesty is no good at discerning who is worthy of being the Empress? The Count stated, let's go, Countess. Penelope thought she is grateful that he stepped in, but is this going to cause trouble later on? The Emperor spoke. Do she think that he would not be able to find her just because she snuck out on him? Why don't they talk about this over a cup of tea? Then, after some time, Penelope thought, who is this? That young man had silver hair. Could it be that he was not the only man she was with that night? The Emperor stated when he woke up that morning and saw she had left, he wasn't sure what to do with her. He didn't know whether he should reward her or punish her. Penelope replied she doesn't know who he is, but she has something to say. The Emperor spoke. Bart is his name. Make sure she remembers it. Penelope stated thanks for helping her out there. But what happened that night was clearly a mistake. She doesn't mind dragging out what happened that night. So let's pretend that it never happened. The Emperor spoke. He doesn't want to forget what happened that night. He is going to make this engagement happen too. Penelope asked what did he mean. The Emperor replied, so don't try to walk away from him again. He will be seeing her. Penelope thought, what in the world is going on? The next scene, the Emperor came back to his palace from his magic portal and thought about Penelope's words. Then he stated he was right, she is perfect. On the other hand, Parian asked if something was wrong. Penelope replied it's none of his business. What is he doing here? Parian stated he heard Rubia is coming, so he came here to escape from her. He is surprised she is not getting all huffy over that as usual. Penelope replied she thinks she can understand how he feels when he avoids Rubia. Parian said, what's wrong with her? Is someone trying to court her? By the way, she received an invitation. It's from Marchioness Montana, and he heard she is Countess Gordon's aunt. Penelope thought her aunt. They are like cockroaches. Why are they so desperate to bring her down? Give her the invitation. Parian replied, wouldn't it be better for her not to go? This whole thing seems suspicious to him. Penelope replied, that's why she is going. She thought she is going to take the lesson. The next day at the Montana residence, Penelope thought she was brave enough when she made up her mind to come here. But this is pretty nerve-wracking. Parian said not to worry. He will protect his little sister. She is safe with him. Then he saw a woman, and wow, she is his type. When she turned, she is Rubia. Penelope was shocked, then ran away. Rubia was also behind her. Penelope thought, safe. He turned out to be useless. Anyway, she feels like a lot of people have been looking at her and whispering. Then Countess came and stated how to greet an empress. Did other nobles not know the piece of gossip? The daughter of Baron is said to be His Majesty's fiancé. Penelope thought she fell right into her trap. This is what she was planning to do from the beginning. She is such a fool. She walked right into the lion's den. Countess stated she should announce the news to everyone, or could it be that she was lying? She is delusional beyond belief. Nobles are chatting. Why would His Majesty of all people want to marry the old daughter of Baron? Countess stated he guesses it makes sense that she would do something like that. After all, she was haughty enough to slap her. The other noble ladies were mumbling, so not only is she a liar, but she is also violent. No wonder the engagement was called off. In her previous life, people called her a cranky old woman. It's not surprising her kids abandoned her. She is infamous for having a bad temper. Her kids left her and never turned up again. Penelope thought, somebody please, and the next moment, His Majesty, the Emperor, came. Penelope thought he is the man from that night. The Emperor told her to leave it to him, then stated if she is the one who upset his fiancé. Miss Penelope will be this empire's empress in the future. He, Bart Dermian, the ruler of this empire, proclaimed that from this moment forward, he would not tolerate any disrespect to his fiancé. Then the Emperor asked how she wanted to proceed. Penelope thought this was escalating way more than he was expecting, but she was not going to turn down a chance to give her a taste of her own medicine. Penelope spoke. What does she think? She wants an apology. Get on her knees. How does it feel to be treated the same way that she treated her? The Countess was on her knees and said, this is all a ruse. Isn't it? She planned all of this, didn't she? It's all an act to humiliate her. Otherwise, why would His Majesty want to marry a good-for-nothing woman like her? The next moment she was frightened. The Emperor stated he believed he warned her, that he would not tolerate any disrespect to his fiancée. What's more, she insulted him. The Emperor, he could not let her go, take her away. Penelope thought, Countess Gordon, it feels fantastic to see her get what she deserves, serves her right for trying to pick a fight with her. The Emperor asked, shall we dance? Penelope replied she is not very good. The Emperor told her to relax and leave everything to him. All she had to do is stay in his arms. Penelope thought this feels too unbelievable to be true. Who could have imagined that she would meet the man she spent the night with again and he would be the Emperor? What's more unexpected than ever is this feverish feeling in her chest. Penelope spoke. Thanks to His Majesty for helping her with that cockroach. She means the spot of trouble she was in back there. Anyway, she had no idea that His Majesty was the Emperor, so he is not really thinking of marrying her. The Emperor replied he is. They spent the night together, and he is a man of honor. He wants to do right by the women he spent the night with. Is there a problem with that? Penelope replied, isn't it too much for His Majesty to marry her, just because he wants to do right by her? The woman he marries is going to be the Empress. She thinks His Majesty could choose his bride. To be honest, it's too overwhelming for her. She became engaged like every other woman her age, but she dragged it on for 2 years because she wasn't very confident that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with him. And now look what happened. She doesn't want to do things like getting engaged or married, just because that's what is expected of her, and she especially doesn't want to become an empress. She doesn't want people to gossip about her anymore. She just wants to focus on her own life. It's not like he wants to marry her because he is in love with her. The Emperor asked, love? Penelope replied, yes, so she apologizes, but please forget about this engagement. The Emperor spoke, very well. The next morning, PM came and stated His Majesty would like to officially propose to Miss Penelope. Her parents and Penelope were shocked. Penelope thought, what kind of bull is this? After that shocking news, everyone in the house celebrated with joy, except for her, of course. Rubia came and asked if it's true that His Majesty proposed to her. Penelope thought, does everyone know already? Rubia asked if she heard the Prime Minister himself came by her house. That's incredible. Penelope tried to reply, but her brother said it's true. Take a good look. It's indeed a royal letter from His Majesty with his seal on it. Penelope thought Mother might understand how she is feeling. Her mother asked if he is going to marry him. Right, she must, right. Penelope asked, what do he think? Father. She thought her father, at least, has always been on her side. Her father replied he wonders if it will rain today. Then Penelope thought there is no one on her side in this house. After some time, she thought he was all about honor, but he lied. What the French toast? She is so mad. Is there nothing she can do? She didn't want to resort to this. She has no choice but to take out the thing she has kept locked up for 10 years. On the other hand, at the castle, noblemen stated the boorish behavior of the government officers, who are commoners, has gone too far. They must reduce the number of them for the good of the empire. Then the other person, who was from a commoner party, stated, according to rumors, the Marquis's daughter leaves with reckless abandon. He thinks his lordship should care more about his own family first. Then, they start yelling at each other. The Emperor stated, enough, then told the nobleman that the commoner employment policy is an important one that he has pursued. He hasn't changed thoughts about this matter. However, he will make sure a thorough investigation is conducted into the problem he brought up. And from the commoner party, this meeting is about state affairs. Do not make statements that are inappropriate. After some time, the Emperor thought he is tired and frustrated. Both parties are tearing each other apart for their benefits. They weren't even the tiniest bit as modest and tolerant as Penelope is. Has it been 2 days since he last saw her? Let's see what she is doing. He is only going to see her face for a moment, given a wider perspective. The emperor was shocked. That looks like she is, could it be? The next scene, Penelope thought it's been 10 years since she promised herself that she would devote herself fully to living the life of a nobleman's daughter. She is about to break that promise to herself. The emperor came and shouted her name, then asked he knows she doesn't wish to marry him, but she can't do it. Penelope asked, what? The emperor stated, what exactly she is about to do. Penelope replied, does he want to ride with her? The next moment, both are enjoying themselves. Penelope asked if he's all right. The emperor replied, one more time, let's slide one more time. Penelope thought he is like a child. He has an adorable side to him. Then, after some time, the emperor stated he had no idea an old leather sack could be used for this purpose. It's truly unexpected. If he improves on this a little and gives this to children who live in the slums, no, he should install a glass sledding place in the capital. Why is she laughing? Penelope replied, she can tell he is a great emperor. Then the emperor thought he never felt this way before. He wants to be closer to her. Penelope thought, wait, she is not ready. The emperor spoke. It was in her hair. Penelope thought he was going to kiss her. The emperor told her he had a lot of fun thanks to her. He was feeling frustrated, but this made all of that go away. It's been a long time since he has felt this way. Penelope replied she had a lot of fun too. It's the first time she rode that sled together with somebody else. The emperor told her, let's ride it together every day once they are married. Penelope thought he just went straight for it. Then she stated she bet he has never been told no. She feels like he is used to giving orders and getting what he wants. He sent that letter in which he proposed to her, because he didn't want to acknowledge the fact that he was rejected. The emperor replied he must not remember, but she was the one who told him to do right by her that night. Answer him. Does she not want to be the empress, or does she not want to be with him? Penelope thought, is there a problem with her heart? This stupid heart of hers keeps pounding fast. Then she said she doesn't want to become an empress, because it would be too overwhelming for her. She just wants to live a normal life. The emperor asked, what is a normal life to her? Penelope replied it's one where she meets someone she likes, and has a romantic relationship with them, and things like that. The emperor stated, then how about this? Let's start a romantic relationship like normal people. He is leaving her with this instead of a kiss on her lips. He will be sure to do what she is expecting next time. He will be seeing her again. Think about what he proposed. Penelope thought, for heaven's sake, why won't he understand what she is saying? In the next scene, the emperor thought she really doesn't remember a thing. Then he thought about that night. Penelope stated, those nasty little pieces of work, why do they only gossip about her? She is sad, lonely, and hurt too. She wishes someone would protect her. Why doesn't she have anyone? The emperor told her he would protect her, promising to be by her side and shield her from being sad, lonely, or hurt. Originally, he was just going to quickly see her face, but this is nice. Suddenly, the emperor thought, hold on just a minute, but the next moment beautiful scene occurred. After that, the emperor said this wasn't part of his plan. Penelope was sleeping, suddenly woke up, and said it's hot, then threw her dress away. The emperor thought, so that's how she sleeps, for God's sake, he can't relax. Not a moment goes by without her doing something. She is sleeping so soundly without a single clue about how he is feeling. He is planning on sleeping on the sofa, she said, but then said this is what she gets for testing him. Penelope was mumbling while sleeping that he has to take care of her now. The emperor replied he will do right by her. Then he thought it's strange, his heart is beating loudly, but he feels completely at peace. It's as if all the thoughts that have been bothering her have been washed away. The next morning, he wondered if he really fell asleep. He hadn't been able to sleep without taking a sleeping pill for 10 years since the war ended. He didn't remember the last time he woke up this refreshed. Then, back at the present time, the emperor thought at first he had simply liked her, but now he needed her. he would win over her heart no matter what. Then Princess Yulia came and stated, "Please forgive her intrusion." Emperor stated that he believes he told her not to come into his room without permission. Princess Yulia replied that he has refused to meet her, so she had no choice but to risk being embarrassed and come to his room. She really wanted to know whether he is going to accept the proposal made by her country. The emperor replied, telling her to get out. Yulia mentioned that all the preparations for marriage have been done in her country, and all he has to do is accept. The emperor stated that it seems she doesn't know her place. Princess, does she really think that a hostage from a country they have defeated in war could make a suitable empress? Yulia shouted that she thinks she is more suited to be an empress than the daughter of a lowly baron. The emperor warned her not to say another word about the women he holds dear, or she will regret it. The next moment, Yulia grabbed him from behind. The emperor pushed her away, saying, "How dare she behave this way?" Yulia claimed she loved him. The emperor replied that love makes him sick. Does she not even have a shred of self-respect as a princess of her country? He has doubted that ever since she voluntarily offered herself to be a hostage, he told her to leave, and he would pretend this never happened. She wanted to know if he was going to accept that proposal, and he made it clear that he had never looked at her that way during the entire time he has known her. That's his answer. After that, Yulia cried and stated she has only had eyes for him for 10 years. Yulia saw the maid was working. Yulia said she saw what happened. Did not she? Then slapped her and grabbed her hair. Maid asked please tell her what she did wrong. Yulia asks if was it fun for her to spy on the princess like a creep, and slaps her, then thinks she can't let him cast her aside. In the next scene, Rubia mentioned that His Majesty wants to romance her first. She didn't think His Majesty had such a romantic side, and she should like him. Penelope replied, like him, she is in turmoil about this whole thing. There is not a single member of her family who cares about what she wants. Rubia told her not to think everyone else is dying for a chance to even glance at His Majesty's face. Penelope asked if he is that popular. Rubia replied, of course he is, and that's not all, he is the only mage in this empire. Penelope asked if he can do magic as well. Rubia told her to pay more attention to the world around her. She was probably the only person in this empire who didn't know that. Penelope thought it's unreal. How can a man be that unrealistically perfect? Rubia asked if she is really against the idea of being the empress. Penelope replied, of course, she is. She feels so stifled just thinking about it. Rubia asked if she doesn't want to date him because she doesn't want to become the empress, or because she dislikes His Majesty. Penelope stated, enough already. She doesn't want to think about marriage, it gives her a headache. Rubia spoke about Parian running away as soon as he sees her. She might die an old maid at this rate. So, she decided she is going to try seeing someone else. Who knows? She might find a wonderful partner like Penelope has, so she can help. Outside the room, Parian was shocked. What, did she just say she only had eyes for him until now? Penelope asked, where are they going? Rubia replied, somewhere where butterflies can party. Parian thought they are more like dreadful moths, as if he is going to let them do whatever they want. On the other hand, the emperor thought he should start a romantic relationship with Penelope like normal people. However, he has no idea what that means. He asked the prime minister what it means to be in a normal romantic relationship with someone. The PM replied, in his opinion, it's when they are in a relationship with someone they want to spend time with, without any external factors or arrangements, spending time on dates and meeting somewhere with a great view. The emperor said, spend time together, somewhere with a great view. He don't get it at all. He is good when it comes to law and military tactics. The PM thought it makes sense that it would be hard for him. The emperor fought in the war as soon as he became the emperor, and then for 10 years after the war, he cast all his attention on stabilizing the empire. The PM thought he should help him as much as he can. The PM recommended taking her to Hyuwood Park, a popular place for young couples to go on dates with a nice restaurant nearby. The emperor stated he needs to go ask Penelope out on a date right now. Emperor stated show Penelope. Then he saw Penelope was wearing a beautiful dress, and the emperor asked why she is wearing it, and what this place is. The PM replied, "That's a place where young women and men go to find someone to date." Emperor thought she is going on a date with another man. Then he asked the PM where this place is. After some time, he thought, so this is the place, does she dislike him that much? Then he saw Parian shouting, so she's going to meet another man after all. Is that it? How can she just waltz right into a suspicious place like that? She even made his sister tag along with her. Parian thought, His Majesty, and the emperor thought, this man looks like Penelope. Parian said, could it be him? In the next scene, one of the men said he can't believe that these beautiful ladies don't have partners, and the other one stated that the goddess wanted them to meet today. Penelope thought she can't listen to their embarrassing pickup lines any longer. Then the guys said they would get some drinks, and Parian said, let's go. Then, out of that party hall, one of the men stated, did he see they were wearing matching gowns? They look like washed-up stage actresses. The other one said, they sure put in a lot of effort to look young, they are pretty enough, and they have curves in the right places, plus, it seemed like they are rich. But it's only a matter of time before they both fall for them, they can string them along and mooch off them. Suddenly, both of them were shocked. Parian stated, it looks like this city really does have a vermin problem because he see two large pests in front of them. The emperor spoke, they will have to get rid of them immediately. On the other hand, Rubia asked, why would she act like that, Penny? It almost ruined the mood. Penelope replied, she didn't sit still while late. Good-for-nothing idiots got talking. Neither of them seemed like good men. They look like sleazy scumbags who are the type to swindle women. The next moment, Parian came and spoke, sorry to have kept them waiting. Ladies, the emperor also came. And Rubia and Penelope were shocked. The emperor grabbed her hand and went away. Rubia asked why he is here. Parian replied, he is here to keep an eye on his younger sister. How could she bring someone who is to be the future empress to a place like this? Rubia replied, Penelope came here to help her. He messed everything up. She was planning on meeting some nice gentlemen here tonight. Parian told her she should be a little more careful. She has no idea how many dishonorable men there are in the world. Rubia thought he doesn't even know he is the reason she came here. All he did was raise her hopes, but what she hates most is that he is making her heart flutter even in this moment. Then she stated, it's none of his business. Parian shouted, why would it not be any of his concern? Then he thought, oops, what did he say? Rubia thought, did he say that because he is actually worried about her? After some time, Rubia asked, she wonders where those gentlemen went. Parian replied, looks like they are not true gentlemen. On the other hand, Penelope stated, could he let go of her hand? The emperor replied, think of how it looks for a lady who received a marriage proposal from the emperor to go to a place like that. Is she trying to humiliate him? Penelope said she apologized. The emperor spoke, is the thought of marrying him that horrid to her, or does she dislike him so much that she prefers the company of strangers? Penelope replied, to be honest, she is afraid. She would not want the responsibility of empress, but it's more that she is afraid of marriage itself. The emperor asked why is that? Penelope replied, she is afraid he might change. She doesn't know why he is putting in this much effort to pursue her. It's not like they knew each other before that night. The emperor stated, although it seems he doesn't remember, they met before. It seems she is curious. He will tell her how they met if she meets him at 7 in the evening, 2 days from now at Highwood Park. Penelope thought, could this be him asking her out on a date? The emperor stated, Penelope, will she do him the honor of being his date that evening? Penelope thought she knows she should refuse. Maybe magic has something to do with it because she can't help but take the hand that's offered to her. The next morning, Penelope asked if she had drinks with her brother, just the two of them together. Rubia replied, Parian said they should drink before they left, and he even walked her home. Penelope thought about what got into Parian all of a sudden. She is used to His Majesty appearing unexpectedly. But it's odd that Parian was also there. Could it be that he actually has feelings for her? Rubia asked if everything is all right between her and His Majesty. He looked angry that night. Maybe he got the wrong idea because she made her go there. Penelope replied that everything is fine on that end, but he asked her out on a date. She is meeting him at Highwood Park tomorrow. Rubia replied that she is jealous. That's a popular place to go on a date. She wonders when she will be able to go there with Parian. Penelope suggested that she come to Highwood Park tomorrow. She will make sure Parian is there, and she will ask him to take her to the park. Then Rubia can act like it's a coincidence that she is also there. Rubia spoke. Penelope is the greatest. Thank you very much. Penelope thought she has never been on a date before. She wonders if she is the only one who is nervous. In the next scene, the Emperor asked if he is considering giving this to Penelope on their date. What does he think? It's not enough. He should give her a magic stone instead. The Prime Minister replied that he may give a word of advice. He can't just think about the monetary value of the item when he is choosing gifts for a date. He has to think about the mood he can give her to help create the best romantic mood possible. Giving an expensive gift to someone on a first date might make them feel uncomfortable. The Emperor replied, "This is difficult." Then he stated, "Stop right there. He didn't ask for tea." The maid apologized, and he will take it back immediately. Sometime later, that person whispered that His Majesty is planning on going to Highwood Park tomorrow evening. The princess thought, how dare she make His Majesty take part in such a foul and indecent trend? It's obvious what kind of woman that idiot is. Why doesn't Emperor know what that wench is really like? The princess stated, "Go to Marchioness Zenobia and tell her she needs her to find her someone quickly. It has to be someone who is young, has a title, and is known to be a rake." Then the princess thought she would help him see the truth. She will ensure that the woman he thinks is virtuous is anything but. The next day, Penelope thought maybe it's because it's her first time going on a date, but she is so nervous. Come on. Why is he making such a big deal out of a date? She is just going because he is curious about how they met in the past. Then, after some time, Parian asked what's with the sudden request to have him walk her somewhere. She is usually fine going to places on her own. Penelope replied she thought he might be worried. Parian said, "True, she has to be careful since she will be the empress soon. Little sister, he is so proud that he is finally thinking like a grown-up." Penelope thought, shut up, Rubia should have left her house by now. She should hurry. In the next scene in the park, a little dirty puppy jumped at her. Penelope stated, "Let's keep him. She wants to take him with her." Parian replied, "That's fine, but is he really going to go meet His Majesty looking like that?" Penelope thought if he goes home and changes right now, she would still be able to meet His Majesty at 7, but that won't leave her with enough time to meet Rubia. How can she get Rubia and her brother to meet without her having to be there? Then she stated, "Can he go and tell His Majesty that she might be a little late?" Parian asked why. She should just go home and quickly change. He can't believe she wants to make the mighty emperor of their empire wait. Penelope said, "Hey, everyone. They won't believe what this man just said." Parian thought, "For God's sake," then replied, "Fine, he will go." In the next scene, the maid asked if she needed help with something. Penelope told her to wash this puppy and give him something to eat. When Penelope was leaving, the puppy was watching her. Then, at Highwood Park, Rubia thought she is going to find out how he really thinks of her today. Parian thought, is he her servant? But he guessed he could do this small favor for her as he is the future empress. Then Parian thought, what is Rubia doing here? He's got to get out of here before she finds out he is here. Wait, who is that random nobody buzzing around her? He told her to be more careful. Suddenly, that person grabbed her hand and tried to take her somewhere. Parian was shocked. Back in time, the princess said, "Here is the advance." The person asked, what does she need him to do? When the sister looked at them, the woman would be waiting at the designated place. His job is to keep her there until His Majesty arrives. The person asked, can he do whatever he wants to the women after he finishes the job? The princess replied, she doesn't care what he does to her. The person thought, the emperor's fiancé, how tempting. Now back in present time, the person thought, when else is he gonna get the chance to have fun with the empress's women? he stated. Is she alone? He happens to be by himself too, so he will keep her company. Rubia thought Parian might come any second, then she told him she is not interested. Please leave her alone. The person shouted, don't act so stuck up. He told her he is going to keep her company for a little while. Is she gonna pretend she didn't hear him? Rubia, while trembling, wondered why he is doing this to her. The person got angry and shouted, how dare she ignore him? She thinks she is somebody now that she seduced the emperor. Rubia thought it doesn't look like she can talk sense into him. Somebody please, no, somebody help. Suddenly, Parian hit that man, and stated to keep his hands off her. He wanted to break all of his fingers. How about they crush them into pieces? The person asked who the hell he is. This is none of his business, so get lost. Parian stated, who is he? Actually, he is the person dating this woman. Rubia was shocked. That person thought he can't afford to draw attention to himself, then ran away. Parian stated to Rubia that he told her to be more careful but then stopped. Rubia replied while trembling. Her legs gave out. Parian told her, what is she doing? Come on, hop on his back. People are going to stare if they see her sitting on the floor. Then Rubia thought his back is warm. Parian asked who was that idiot. Is it someone she knows? He should have beaten him up some more. How is he in the mood to laugh? Rubia asked if he said they were in a relationship. Parian replied he was only saying it to shoo him off. Rubia asked if he is embarrassed right now. After some time, Penelope thought it took her longer than she expected to change. She just noticed something. People over here and there and even over here. Is this a park or an inn? Is this how youngsters date these days? Her heart is beating so fast. Then she bumped into someone and apologized, stating she wasn't paying attention. That person stated no, it's his fault, his mind was elsewhere. Penelope thought he is good looking, but there is something off about him, and his face is so unhealthy pale, it makes her feel a little bad for him. The person said, take care. Penelope told her to wait. She knows she brought some with her. There it is. Hold out his hands. The person replied. What? Why would he? Penelope shouted. If she tells him to hold out his hands, hurry up and hold them out. She has things to do too. Is she going to take the blame if she is late? The person thought he didn't know why he is doing what she says. Penelope gave him candies, and then told him he has such an unhealthy complexion for someone so young. That won't do. Youngsters these days don't understand how important it is to make sure their blood sugar isn't too low. The person thought she is so bizarre, and then told her that she hates eating anything sweet. Penelope replied, the best thing to do to keep oneself healthy is to eat well. Make sure he doesn't skip his meals. Then she thought she feels better now that she has given him something to eat. Person thought, what a weird woman. After that, Penelope thought it's already getting dark, and she wonders where His Majesty is. Oh, there he is. Then she thought, why is it that when he looks at His Majesty staring off into the distance, it feels like he has been waiting for someone for hundreds of years? Then Emperor stated she found him. He was worried she might get lost because he changed their meeting place. Can she close her eyes for a second? Penelope thought. Surely he is not going to kiss her all of a sudden. Emperor stated she can open them now. Penelope was shocked, then told him it's so pretty. She thought she haven't seen anything like this in her past life. Emperor stated she is prettier. Penelope thought, why is he so straightforward? Emperor spoke. Did she know that fireflies glow to find mates? Males, especially, make a desperate effort to grow so that they can attract female fireflies. Penelope spoke. It looks like fireflies are not much different from humans. Emperor replied. They are not. But the difference is that they only live for 10 days. They die after passionately expressing their love. During that period of time, they devote their entire life to love. Penelope stated she feels bad for them. Emperor told her he thinks it's beautiful that they spend their whole life in love until they die. It may appear to be the case, but people also wait for someone who will recognize how brightly they shine. He could see how brilliantly she shined the moment he met her. What does she think about him? Does he shine in her eyes? Penelope thought maybe it's because of what he said, but despite the magical view all around her, she could only focus on His Majesty. She doesn't know if this is love, but right now, she wants to shine together with him. Emperor spoke. His feelings for her grow stronger every day, thought they are so strong that it's hard for her to handle. Then they are getting close. Penelope apologized that they can't. Then she thought she almost let him kiss her, she got let herself be swayed, but when she is with him, she just wants to let him take charge. Is he going for a kiss on the cheek? Emperor stated to allow him to be close to her just for a moment. Then he thought what he actually wanted was a kiss. Penelope finds it kind of embarrassing to be so close, but it's not bad. After that, Penelope thought all he did was put his cheek next to her, but now she is having trouble looking her in the eye. Then she asked that he was acting sort of different earlier, so it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. Emperor asked how he was acting earlier. Penelope replied he just seemed lonely. She saw the expression he was making when she was walking toward him earlier. Does he know how sad he looked? He looked like a puppy waiting for its owner, not that she is saying he is like a dog. Emperor thought, it seems Penelope looks right through him. Then he asked if he would like to take her somewhere. She will be able to find out more about him if they go there. Penelope thought this is an opportunity to find out more about him. Then she replied, sounds good. Let's go. In the next scene, Penelope thought she had no idea there were slums so close to the capital. After some time, she thought this is a shelter for the poor. The doctor asked His Majesty who is she. Emperor asked if she is with him, how are things? The doctor replied there are no patients in critical condition, but all of the patients suffer from malnutrition. They are also nearly through the food and medicine that he provided them half a month ago. Emperor spoke. He will figure something out. Keep up the good work. Penelope thought people were moaning out in pain, and they looked exhausted and lifeless. She thought that El Avada was a rich country, but she guessed poverty and pain exist everywhere. After the tour, Penelope asked she didn't know there were places like this near the capital. It seems he comes here often. Emperor replied this area is where people who have lost their homes in the aftermath of the war have gathered. It's been 10 years since the war ended. Most people are now affluent. There are citizens who aren't as privileged and live in the shadows. He has set up 10 of these shelters and providing them support, but that's not enough. Penelope asked what if he asked the nobles to donate. Emperor replied nobles only do things that benefit themselves. For the members of the Commoner Party, most of the policies of the politics that aim to help the poor are not passed because of opposition from the concept. Penelope shouted those rotten idiots. This is why politicians are horrible. They are only wealthy because of commoners. Goodness her, she lost her temper and got carried away. Emperor stated he was right about her, Penelope. He told her he would tell her about the first time they met, which was 5 months ago at the Imperial Library. It seems the library is well maintained. Then he saw her. She was startled. The emperor thought maybe he was imagining things. Then she was furious. He was smiling and thought she seemed angry. He wondered what she is reading. His opinion of her then was that she was unusual and nothing more. In the next scene, a person tried to enter the Imperial Library. The guard told him he might make other people uncomfortable. He had to leave. That person replied, saying he heard that everyone in this empire can use this library. Nobles were chatting. They couldn't believe he was trying to enter the Imperial Library looking like that. The emperor thought he had passed a law that would make this library accessible to anyone, so how dare he prevent him from entering? Penelope stated she is tired of these old men always thinking they can get their way if they just shout loudly, and he is causing quite the scene. The guard replied he would resolve this right away. Penelope stated yes, this has to be resolved. The guard asked if he couldn't allow her to. Penelope stated she thought the emperor ordered that this library should be open to anyone in the empire. Is he saying there are things he considers more important than the emperor's order? The guard replied, of course not. Please feel free to go in. Emperor was shocked. Now, back in present time, Penelope said she didn't realize that he was there. The emperor told her she is a warm-hearted person who looks after the disadvantaged, and she sticks to her conviction of what she thinks is right. That's when he knew that he could realize his vision for the future if it's with her. Penelope replied she is not as amazing as. Emperor stated it's not just the emperor's side of him that wants her as the empress. He wants her as a person, someone who will be by his side. He is sure she knows about the war, but many of their people were massacred. The horrible images from that war haunt him at night. He has never been able to sleep peacefully since then, except for one night. That's the night he was with her. He was able to sleep peacefully. He is not as strong as he seems. That's why he needs her more than anyone. Penelope thought he has that look in his eyes again. Who would have thought that a man this sickeningly perfect had such a vulnerable side to him? On the other hand, the princess shouted, how could he mess that up? This is why she can't trust anyone lower than her. She should just take care of this by herself. Suddenly, she was shocked. That person stated, long time no see, sister. After some days, PM asked if something good happened to him on his date a few days ago. The emperor was blushing, and PM thought it's all written on his face, His Majesty being happy, something he had hoped for. The emperor stated he plans to marry Penelope soon. PM asked if Miss Penelope accepted his proposal. The emperor replied no, but he doesn't plan on making anyone else his empress. PM told him to reconsider his decision. The noble party will strongly oppose this marriage because His Majesty will marry the daughter of a baron. The emperor replied they are always criticizing. PM told him it's not only the noble party. Sending the princess back to Turin will damage their relationship with Turin. If he loses this part of the noble party, that means he will have to deal with animosity both inside and outside the empire. The emperor asked who was the emperor here. PM replied it's him, Your Majesty. The emperor spoke that he understands his worries, but he will continue to be criticized if he makes Penelope his empress. Pacifying others by doing what they want is only a temporary solution. They will keep on demanding greater things. That's why he is going to use this opportunity to let everyone know that he is not someone who will be swayed, not as an emperor or as an individual. PM replied, asking for forgiveness for being short-sighted. He will respect his judgment. A knight came and spoke. The delegation from Turin that arrived yesterday is waiting to see him. In the next scene, Yulson stated that he hoped the emperor has been well. The delegation is here to discuss the amount they are to offer as tribute, so he had to come himself. He also wanted to see how his sister is doing. The emperor asked, so he has suddenly decided to take an interest in his sister's well-being after 10 years. The prince replied that as they say, no news is good news, and he assumed that was the case, but he was worried as an older brother, as it seems his sister has been stressed recently. The emperor stated it's a good thing he came. He has decided to release the princess and take her with him when he returns to Turin. The prince spoke that he received news about his engagement. He heard that she is merely the daughter of a baron. PM whispered, please remain calm. After some time, the princess asked how His Majesty was. Did he say anything about her? The prince said. When did he permit her to speak to him? The princess was shocked and apologized. The prince thought, so that woman is the daughter of baron. He really care about that woman. Then he said to send a covert message to Count Vermin, stating that he wishes to see him. Then when he starts, he wants to know how he will look when he realizes he lost the woman he cherishes so much. The next day, Emperor spoke. Thanks for having him. Penelope wondered why on earth Rubia was here, and she felt too embarrassed to even look at his face, and now she had to eat with him. Baron thanked Emperor for accepting their sudden invitation and hoped the food was to his liking. Emperor replied that it was very delicious. Penelope's mother asked if it was, offering more dishes and mentioning her brilliance at making roasted dishes. Baron told her not to make their guest uncomfortable, and Penelope apologized, saying she was used to offering food like that to her family. Emperor asked if she considered him a part of her family, and Penelope's mother replied that, of course, she did, as he was getting married to Penelope. Penelope thought she was talking like it was a done deal. Emperor replied that he had something in common with his mother-in-law. He liked asparagus too. Penelope thought this was making her uncomfortable, then stated that she was done with her meal and had to go feed Mary. In her room, She thought about how they decided he was family without even asking her what she thought. To be honest, it's not like she disliked him. She felt bad for him and wanted to support him every time she saw him. But in her past life, she was frightened. Marrying once was enough for her. He might be nice to her now, but who knows when he will change. For some reason, it makes her heart hurt to think that His Majesty will feel differently one day. Never mind all that. She should live a glorious single life now that she has given a second chance at life. She is a free woman. Emperor said the door was open and apologized if he interrupted. Penelope thought he always catches her doing weird things. Emperor thought this is Penelope's room and then stated, "So, this is the room of the woman. This room is very special, and there is nowhere else like it in the world." The next moment, both of them are getting close. Suddenly, the dog started barking. Penelope spoke, "Be a good doggy now. No barking." The dog was smiling. After that, Emperor asked if she got a dog. Penelope told him she found her on their grounds not too long ago. Emperor was thinking about that smile. Then asked if she was free right now, as there is something he wanted to show her. In the next scene, both of them came from a magic portal. Emperor stated it was his mother's, and he wanted her to wear it for their wedding. Penelope thought she had heard from her mother that the people loved the Empress more than any other Empress in history, but she was a tragic figure because she sadly died at an early age, leaving behind a young prince. He wanted her to wear something that belonged to his mother. The Emperor stated he was getting ahead of himself. That's for when she decides to marry him. Penelope thought she could tell just by looking that His Majesty took good care of this dress. He must really take their relationship seriously. Looking back, he was always sincere. She couldn't avoid this any longer. She had to be a little more honest about His Majesty's feelings. Penelope stated, "Let's spend some more time together." After some time, Penelope thought she had picked this place because nobody else was there. Then she stated what she was about to tell him might seem ridiculous, but she wanted him to take it seriously. She remembered her past life when she was 7. She lived in another country. In her previous life, unlike this empire, that place was ravaged by war, and everyone was poor, barely scraping by. Her parents sold her to a man much older than her to be married at an age younger than her now. Their marriage wasn't a happy one. She was trembling. Emperor put his hand on hers. Penelope continued, "He died at sea not long after. She was tenacious about taking care of her kids after his death. People in her neighborhood criticized her for having a filthy mouth and a bad temper, but that only made her act tougher. Near the end of her life, even her kids abandoned her, and she died a lonely death. She thinks she cried for days after she remembered her past life." The Emperor replied that it must have been challenging to deal with those memories at a young age. Penelope stated since she was born with great luck, she wanted to forget those terrible memories and do enjoyable things like dating, but that didn't go the way she planned. When she really thought about it, she didn't see the point of marrying again. She was going to live a glamorous life as a single woman, so could he leave her alone? Then she thought this should be enough for him to think she was weird and run for the hills. Not even His Majesty could accept. The Emperor stated, "Don't try to push him away. Nothing she say will do that because he don't have the slightest intention of letting her go. He love every part of her, and that includes her past life." Penelope thought, why, at this rate, she feel like she will really fall for him. Then after some time, the Emperor asked if she was sure she didn't need him to escort her home. Penelope replied that her parents would make a huge deal out of it if he took her home. The Emperor kissed her cheek and said good night. After that, Penelope thought, now that she had told him her secret, it's like a huge weight has been lifted off her shoulders. Suddenly, Penelope thought, whose house are those flashy flames coming from? Wait a minute, that's where her house is. Parian asked, "Mother still hasn't come out of the house." The maid stated they left the house together when her ladyship said that she needed to get something important. Penelope thought her mother was still in there, and she might be able to save her if she goes now. Penelope stated, reforming out the fire, she will go get mother. She couldn't see anything because of the smoke, but then she saw her mother. Fortunately, she was conscious, but Penelope thought her mother had inhaled too much smoke. She had to get out of there before the fire spread. After that, Penelope stated she thought her mother had inhaled a lot of smoke. When Penelope was getting out of the house, she was shocked to see huge pieces of wood coming toward her. On the other hand, a cup of tea was broken, and the emperor stated, "Show him, Penelope." He was shocked to see Penelope in that condition. Back in the house, Penelope thought about using another exit, but it was no use. She didn't have enough strength to move. Once again, she was doomed to die alone. She might have travel luck, but at least it wasn't a meaningless death since she managed to save her mother. The truth was she didn't want to die. If she died, would he be all alone again? Who did the Grim Reaper come to take her away? The Grim Reaper sure was tall and handsome these days. The Emperor used his magic and then picked her up. Emperor spoke. He is here, so she is safe now. Then he thought he was sure it was that idiot who did this to her. On the other hand, the Count asked, "Is not setting fire to their house crossing the line?" The prince replied he expected more from the key figure of the Nobel party, but it only took something like this to make him flustered. The Count said the reason he joined forces with His Highness was so they could stop a war from breaking out. But this will only fan the flames of war. Neither of them will be spared if His Majesty finds out. The prince stated he forgets his place. Count, he dares treat him, the legitimate heir to the throne of Turin, like he is the Bart's vassal. He clearly said he would cooperate with him to prevent a war, but has he realized he already has an informant for Turin? There is no mistaking it. If he doesn't want another war to break out, then he should hold his tongue and cooperate with him. He should return to the palace, prepare the carriage, if only she had died in the fire. The prince thought he couldn't believe that idiot emperor went to save her himself. It seems he really cares for that woman, so he can't easily give up a weakness of his that he finally found after 10 years. He will plan his revenge as slowly and thoroughly as he can, so that the emperor can feel the pain that he felt because of him. Only 10, no, 100 times worse. Next scene, the emperor asked how Penelope was. The doctor replied she only sustained slight bruising, and her life is not in danger. However, it's not clear why she is in a coma, so he believes there is nothing they can do for now except wait for her to wake up on her own. Perian asked at least to give them an estimate of when she will wake up again. The doctor replied he can't say whether it will be a few days or a few months. After some time, the emperor spoke. It's all his fault. If he had let her go when she asked him to, but for some reason, even as he sits here feeling guilty and remorseful, he just can't let her go. He will wait for her even if it takes decades for her to wake up, so please just come back to him. Scene change. Penelope thought of the ocean. She remembered she lost consciousness in her house, which was burning. Oh, she must have died. Why are the only things in this blasted afterlife a field of rocks and the ocean? People on TV would go on and on about heaven and paradise, but look at what it's like. The afterlife looks quite familiar. She was planning on living out a quiet life before she died, but living a short but eventful life is a blast too. How shameful to be crying like this. There is someone else here. Could it be? Is that her from her previous life? Why is she here? Old Penelope spoke. Good grief. She is trying to quietly look at this view with poise, but some damned harpy here is acting like a pitiful mess. Penelope asked. What do she mean she was acting like a mess? Old Penelope replied. Living a short but eventful life is a blast. If that's not she talking like a pitiful mess, then what is it? Being a damn fool. Penelope stated. Is she kidding her? Her life was short, but it was intensely eventful, which was much better than the miserable way she used to live in vain. Old Penelope spoke. Much better. Is that what she tell herself? The word, regret, is stamped all over her face. In fact, she don't know how she can see out of her eyes because they are full of regret too. Quit trying to bluff about her life and have a seat. Let her hear what those regrets of she is. On the other hand, Perian said, Mother, she has not even had a sip of water in the last 3 days. They can't have her collapsing as well. Mother replied. How is she supposed to eat knowing that Penny's in that state because of her? Father spoke. It's not her fault. She know it was an accident. Perian thought. Penelope is unconscious. and mother is becoming thinner every day. There is nothing he can do to help them. Rubia came and spoke. She have come to see her, she has not dined yet, so she have brought her something to eat. Mother replied, thanks, but she simply cannot, Rubia stated. Don't be like that, lady, there are things that she likes. Parian spoke, Mother, she should eat. Penelope constantly said that people are powerless without food. Mother replied, then she supposed she will just have a little. Then in the kitchen, Parian spoke, sorry, the staff are on leave. Rubia replied, all they have to do is plate the food, besides, he did most of that. Parian told her, he is sorry that she had to concern herself with this as well, he should have taken better care of his family. Rubia replied, that's kind of disappointing to hear. He and Penelope's parents are like her parents. They have always treated her so well and now he is treating her like a stranger. She is doing this because she wants to as Penelope's friend, so don't be sorry. She will bring this up to her, go stretch his legs outside. Parian thought, really, she is too nice for her own good. Has it already been 5 years since he first saw her? Rubia is a member of Count Vermon's family, which is of a high social standing. He know that as the son of a baron, he would only hold Rubia back. His Majesty and the Prime Minister are here. His Majesty has been visiting every single day. They are having a serious conversation. He should leave before they think he is eavesdropping. Parian heard the Prime Minister say, they were able to find out the person behind the fire that occurred at the Baron's estate. The Emperor asked, the person who ordered the arson. Who is it? The Prime Minister replied, it was Count Vermon. Parian was shocked. Parian thought, so the person who set fire to their house and put Penelope in a coma was Rubia's father. Then he asked, is what he just said true? The Prime Minister replied, it appears to be the case from what they have investigated so far. Parian came back in the house and thought, what's the point of confronting her? It's not like it's Rubia's fault. Rubia asked, he is back already. He is not going to take some more time for himself. Parian thought he didn't think he could contain his anger if he had to deal with her any longer. Then he said, she should go back home. Rubia replied, she told her not to feel sorry, she is doing this because. Parian shouted, he told her to go back home. Rubia asked, why is he shouting at her? Parian spoke, don't come here anymore, he will take care of his family by himself. Rubia stated, why did he always act like this, who came up to her 5 years ago? But he have been avoiding her without giving her a reason ever since then. He thanked her and asked for her help earlier. Why is he preventing her from getting close to him? Parian said, ask her father, ask him who did that to our house and Penelope. Rubia replied, that's so low. She know he want to get rid of Hermie, but to tell a lie like that. Father asked, what did he just say? The person who set fire to their house was Count Vermon. All of them were looking at her. Rubia was running away while crying. On the other hand, Penelope found out, from talking with her from her previous life, that this place is not the afterlife. She supposed they would not be able to be together at the same time if this was the afterlife. Old Penelope stated, so she is telling her that because she is a daughter of a happy and respectful family, and she was born with good looks and a nice body, the handsome and all-powerful emperor of their empire is pursuing her on top of everything else. Oh God, she hit the jackpot. She should hurry up and marry this man. Penelope asked, would she want to marry anyone with everything that's happened? Old Penelope replied, oh goodness, she don't know how good she have it. Why do you care so much about nothing? Penelope shouted, nothing, damn it. Are she finished talking? Her life became a complete mess because of that so-called nothing. Old Penelope told her, she should not go around telling lies. She is dead, so why are you blaming her for not living her life to the fullest? Penelope stated, but no matter how hard she try, she just can't erase it. It hurts when she think about what she went through and how my life ended. Old Penelope asked, she feel really sorry for me, don't you? But my life was not only filled with misery like she think it was. I worked really hard in life. I might have been a single mother, but I was successful in marrying off all her kids. What she regretted as she closed her eyes for the final time was that her eldest bought her a pair of red long johns after getting paid for the first time. All she did with it was stuff it in her dresser for the rest of her life, because she cherished it too much. Listen to me carefully, she is not Bangja who was unlucky in life and unfortunate. If you have the chance to seize happiness, use all the strength she have to make the most out of it. Don't waste it because she cherished something too much to make use of it like I did. To be honest, she am really sorry. You had to listen to and see all those harsh memories when she were little. She must have been frightened to death and terrified. So forget all about me. Return to the people who love her, and live a nice life. It's almost time. Penelope asked, is this all right? She don't care if nobody remembers her life. Old Penelope replied, what a weird question. It's just the way things are in nature that you are forgotten after you pass. So why wouldn't it be fine? Everyone faces death alone. Penelope thought, she was so lonely and sad, but she is pretending like it's all fine. Then she shouted, quit bullshitting her. She saw, heard, and felt her struggle and be sad and hurt, and now she is pretending that everything is fine. Go tell that lie to someone who will believe it. Old Penelope asked, what do she want her to do? She will only bring her down. How could she be so shameless as to ask her to remember her? Penelope replied, you are right. She pinned all the blame on you for not being able to live an easy life as Penelope, a noble daughter. She thought all of her misfortune was because of these memories. But she thinks she was wrong. She have friends and family who care for her, no matter how she is. She have someone who helps her feel less upset about the memories which are sad, painful, and hard to deal with. She is the daughter of a noble man who remembers her previous life. So stop trying to disappear on me like you have no sense of loyalty and stay close to her. Old Penelope replied, I never got this type of welcome when she was alive. Who would have known she would get it when she was dead? Goodness, it's mortifying that she keep crying like this. Thanks from the bottom of her heart, she can't be with her anymore because she is embarrassing herself. Get ready to go home, you are not going to die, so follow her. Penelope thought, but this is transformation. Old Penelope asked, what is HSE stalling for? She have to go back quickly to the people she love. Next scene. Penelope woke up. Mother, father, and brother were there. They were crying. The emperor hugged her and said, thanks for coming back to him. Penelope spoke, she is back. After that, the emperor thought he was glad that Penelope woke up, but Count Varman, although their opinions on policy directions might have clashed, was really not the type to use aggressive methods. He would not have planned something like this by himself. The person who is actually behind the fire has to be, Prince spoke, Your Majesty. There is concern on his face which was not there before. It appears something is worrying her. The emperor asked, since when have he cared about Hismi well-being? The prince replied, come to think of it, something unfortunate happened to his fiancée, didn't it? The next moment, the prince thought he couldn't breathe. The emperor stated, it seems he had forgotten that the moment he stepped foot in the empire, he placed his life in my hands. The prince thought he couldn't move. It was like his entire body had been bound with invisible chains. This is how powerful the emperor of Levada is. The emperor stated, He's leaving him alone, because he is planning on making sure he is properly punished for his past misdeeds. If he believed that he can pin the blame on somebody else and avoid punishment like he did last time, he must be mistaken. Be prepared to pay with his life the next time he lay a hand on his fiancée. This is a warning. After that, the prince thought, that's the reaction he wanted. The more the emperor cherishes that woman, the greater his despair will be when he loses her. On the other hand, Penelope spoke, that hit the spot. Warm soup really is the best when they have an empty stomach. Perian asked, is she really the same woman who was unconscious for 5 days? Penelope replied, try starving for 5 days, she would be as hungry as a bear. Actually, she wished she could eat one more bowl of soup, Perian stated. Okay, eat as much as she want and become as strong as an ox. Penelope asked, anyway, what happened to her? She thought that she was a goner for sure. Perian told her, His Majesty saved her. She have no idea how surprised he was when the emperor ran into the burning house as soon as he arrived. It's fortunate that His Majesty can use magic. The flame turned into ice in the blink of an eye. It was amazing. Penelope thought. So that means the person she saw back then was His Majesty. He always comes to her rescue. She doubted there would be anyone else as caring as he is. Parian stated. So be nicer to His Majesty. Stop playing hard to get. Penelope replied. She was planning on being nicer to him anyway. Parian spoke. Wow. Has our little Penny finally grown up? Penelope asked. By the way, can he let Rubia know she is awake? Knowing her, she must have been so worried. Parian replied. Rubia is not coming. The person behind the arson is none other than Rubia's father. Penelope asked. What in the world is he talking about? Why would Count Varman do something like that? Parian said. How would he know, anyway, from now on? Suddenly, he heard a crashing noise outside. Parian went outside and asked, Who's there? Then he was shocked. Rubia stated, She is here. Parian asked, What brings her here? He mean, how dare a Varman step foot in our house? Rubia replied, She is not a Varman anymore. She left her house for good. Parian asked what has she said. This morning, at Count Varman's estate, Rubia asked, Were he the one that did it? She is talking about the fire at the Baron's house. The Count asked, Where did he hear that? Rubia spoke. Was it really him? Why did he do it? Was it because she liked Parian? The Count told her, It's much more serious than that. It was an unfortunate thing to have happened, but think of it as a warning issued on behalf of the noble party. Rubia said, A warning, someone almost died, and it was the family of the man she loved and her friend. The Count stated, This is a good time to end her friendship with the members of the Zelkalian family. She should not associate with a family of lesser standing than ours. Rubia asked, How can he say something like that when Penelope is in a coma right now? The Count told her, It might be better if she doesn't wake up. Listen carefully. This is a matter of life and death. Penelope cannot become the empress. For the sake of our family and the country, war might break out if she becomes the empress. Don't try to look deeply into this. He sent a request to the Marquis family so that she can be formally introduced to their son. So just be obedient and marry him. Rubia stated, She reject him. This isn't right. She is not going to let the people she love get hurt anymore. She is abandoning the Varman family starting today. Next scene, Rubia said, She is so glad that Penelope is awake. Is she all right? Is she hurt anywhere? Penelope replied, She is right and totally fine. She feel like she is healthier now than before she fell into the coma. Parian said, He is sure she is. She ate an entire bowl of soup. Mother asked, What do she mean she have cut ties with her family? Rubia replied, She have become disappointed in her me father because of this incident. She can't apologize for him, but let her offer them one. She is really sorry. Now that things have come to this, can they adopt her as their daughter? Parian asked, She want us to become siblings. That's ridiculous. Rubia replied, It's not like he is planning on marrying her anyway. Her father won't be able to do anything to her if she is here. This is the only solution she could think of. She know they must hate her because she is a Varman, but please accept her as their daughter. Penelope stated, Hold her head up, it was not her fault, and she woke up from the coma unharmed. The Baron and Baroness spoke, She is like a daughter to us. How can we hate her? She can stay as long as she want. So don't be hasty in making a decision. Rubia replied, Thank you, Lord and Lady, Parian said. Everyone is such a pushover. Then he thought, There is no stopping her. After some time, Rubia stated, There is something she need to tell her. The arson was something the noble party schemed to stop her from marrying the emperor. Penelope was shocked. Rubia continued, She don't know all the details, but she believe they think war will break out if she and His Majesty get married. Penelope said, So that means her house was set on fire, because they think she might become the empress when she don't even want to be one. She never said she wanted to become empress. In fact, it would be a burden, and she would hate for it to happen. Why does her family have to suffer because of a position she don't even want to hold? Rubia stated, Get it together. She have to guard her heart in times like this. There is a solution. She have to become the empress. Penelope asked, What is she talking about? Her family is in danger because of the possibility that might happen. Rubia told her, he can't protect her from every threat, she have to become the empress and gain power, even if it's just to protect yourself and your family. She know it's difficult to make a decision right away, but there is no time to hesitate, she must make a decision. In the morning, Penelope thought she did not get a wink of sleep in the end. She would be in way over her head if she became the empress. She is not even sure if she really loves His Majesty either. To be honest, she wants to be by His Majesty's side. He has it tough, and he is very lonely. She wants to be a source of support for him. But what the hell should she do? After some time, Penelope said, she is sorry she visited him this early in the day. She is sure he must be surprised. The emperor replied, it's nothing to apologize for. How is she feeling? Shouldn't she rest more? Penelope said, she rested well. The truth is, she came by to tell him you something. She heard that it was His Majesty who saved her from the fire and thanked him. The emperor replied that he is the one who is thankful and grateful that she woke up unharmed. Penelope stated that she has heard about who was behind the arson and understands that it was the act of a group opposed to her becoming the empress. The emperor told her he is sorry, saying it was due to his carelessness. Penelope responded that it was not his fault. She admitted she was scared. The prospect of marriage and becoming the empress is already too much for her to handle, but now her family's lives are in danger. The emperor thought Penelope almost died. It's selfish of him to ask her to be with him, but he knows rationally that's the case. Penelope continued, saying that's why she will become the empress. He asked why she changed her mind. Penelope replied that it's because she was angry. She considered running away with her family at night, but the more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She meant the scoundrels who set fire to their house live in great splendor. So why do they have to flee when they are the victims? Doesn't he agree? She wants to see the bastards, who made the people she loves cry lament and shed tears of regret from their eye holes. The emperor stated that ultimately, she decided to marry him to protect the people who are important to her. Penelope said His Majesty is included in the people who are important to her. She still has no idea if she wants to date him or if it's love, but she genuinely wants to be someone who can support him. Is this too selfish of a reason? The emperor thought he can't believe she told him. She does not know if she loves him even as she accepted his proposal. She is an incredibly honest person. Then he said, not at all, and thanks to her, he is happy. On the other hand, the princess shouted, what did he just say? Who came here? A knight replied that a servant at the main palace saw Miss Zekalian come in for a visit this morning. The princess said she heard Penelope was unconscious. When and why did she wake up? What did His Majesty talk about with that woman? The knight replied that His Majesty told everyone to leave, so he doesn't know the details. The princess shouted, incompetent bastard, leave this room at once. Then she thought Penelope should have burned to death during the fire. She is sick of this wench. If His Majesty really ends up marrying her, then she will start throwing things. The prince came and asked why she is making a commotion this early in the day. The princess told him that the woman woke up. What is she to do now if His Majesty gets married? The prince asked why she is making such a fuss over something as trivial as marriage. The princess said she has been in love with him and only him for 10 years, and she has even put up with the humiliation of being a hostage. The prince said, shut up, his head is ringing because of her whining and crying. Let him warn her that if she keep whining, he is not going to let her off just because she is his sister. That woman woke up earlier than expected. He hoped they can get married without a hitch. The princess asked what he means. The prince replied, it's exactly as he said. Bart has to be incredibly happy for his surprise gift to be meaningful. She can have him, use him as a plaything, or whatever she wish. After that's over with, that's good enough, the princess stated. As expected, she is no match for him. After some days, their house, which had been burnt down, was nicely rebuilt thanks to His Majesty. Mother said not only did he give them a place to stay, but he also prepared their house. She didn't know how to thank him. The emperor replied that he simply did what should have been done. The baron said that he wanted to talk to them about something important. Penelope stated that she had decided to accept His Majesty's proposal. All of them were shocked and happy. Rubia congratulated her, and Perion said now he can refer to him as his brother-in-law instead of boss. Penelope thought the emperor looked happy. Mother asked, by the way, what made him fall in love with Penelope? Penelope thought, what? The emperor replied, it's hard to pick something in particular because he likes everything about her. Penelope was blushing. Penelope said it's time for her to feed the dog. They asked, what dog? Penelope told them she was talking about their pet dog Mary. The emperor asked if she meant that white dog with the odd look in her eyes. Penelope replied, exactly, she must have been brought here since the house has been rebuilt. Perion said, we're good. The dog has gone. Penelope was shocked. After some time at a flower shop, Penelope found her puppy. She said, thanks for taking care of Mary. After that, she said, let's go home now. Suddenly, she saw garlic cream bread and thought their garlic cream bread is out of this world. She couldn't leave Mary at the flower shop because they would be sold out by the time she returned. What bad timing. She guessed there was nothing she could do. The prince spoke, saying she's the woman who gave him candy. Penelope replied they had met before. Hadn't they? The prince thought she remembered him, then replied yes, they had. Penelope stated, look after her dog for a minute, she will buy one for him too, so please do her this favor. The prince thought, what is she even buying for him? What a rude woman, she gave awful candy, and now she is using him as a porter. Who does she think he is? Then he remembered she asked him, please do her this favor. The prince thought, seriously, what is he doing? After that, Penelope said she is back. Now then, there is a park over there. So let's go eat this at the park. The prince thought, why is she doing everything she wants? After some time, he was still thinking, why is he here? Penelope told him garlic cream bread is a real killer. Here, try it. The prince thought, a killer what? Does it have poison in it? The prince replied, no thanks. Eating outside is a vulgar act. Penelope shouted, how long is he going to make her wait? Take it already. Wow. It really is best when it's fresh out of the oven. The prince thought, what a rude and stubborn woman. Wow. A crisp outer layer and incredible texture underneath. The balance of garlic and cream is also exquisite. Penelope said, see, it's tasty. Prince replied, he don't eat food that's for lower class, but he will finish this because she brought it for him. Penelope thought this young man looks fine on the outside, but he is not well on the inside. Penelope continued, it's so good when they are snacking outside him. Did he find a hair in it or something? The prince replied, no, it's just strange that this bread is tasty to him. He have all sorts of delicacies, but he have never thought any of it was tasty. Penelope stated, maybe it has to do with his mood. It's how people are. We can be happy while sharing a pea with someone else. What he eat is also important. But food is delicious when he is happy while eating it, isn't it? The prince thought, when he is happy, does he feel happy when he is with this woman? Penelope said, oh dear, was little Mary bored? Shall we go home? Thanks for helping me out today. Take care. The prince stated, wait, aren't she going to take this with her? Penelope replied, she bought those for him. The prince asked, please tell him her name. Penelope replied, it's Penelope. Make sure not to skip meals. If he skip them because he don't feel like eating anything, he might end up becoming frail when he is older. Then she thought, when she looked at his pale face, it's like she is looking at a grandson. After that, the prince thought they are all sweetbreads. He hated Bart and the land heroes. But there is one thing that's not bad about this place, Penelope. In the next scene, Penelope thought she felt tired, since she went for a stroll around town for the first time in a while. Then she thought, why is the house so deathly quiet? Perion spoke, something terrible has happened. Penelope asked, what's wrong? Perion told her, Rubia. There was no time to explain, so Penelope followed him. She thought, did the noble party do something to Rubia? Perion told her to go in quickly. Penelope entered the room, and suddenly she thought, what was that? Her mom and Rubia spoke. Surprise, Rubia stated, it's a bridal shower. Of course, she made the preparations with her mother. We would have been disappointed if we didn't do anything when she is getting married soon. Her mother told her she forbade people from coming up to the second floor. So let's let our hair down and have some fun girl time. A little while later, her mother spoke. Here's to the happiness of the beautiful new bride. And let's enjoy the night ahead. Then the party continued. After some time, Rubia was asleep. Penelope said she had a lot of fun today thanks to her mother. The Baroness replied she wanted to host a grand party for her. She was sorry she could not. All she wanted was for her to wake up from that coma without harm, but to also see her getting married. She felt like she could die without any regrets now. Penelope asked, by the way, can she ask what item she went into the house to retrieve that day? The Baroness asked if she remembered this. Penelope thought, this is an accessory she made for her when she was little. The Baroness continued, it was the first gift she received from her, so she could not leave it behind. Penelope asked, Mother rushed into the fire for this. The Baroness replied, she was really worried after Penelope fell from that tree, when she was 7 because she did not speak for a while and only cried. Penelope said, this isn't anything important. It's just a bow that a kid made. The Baroness spoke, to her. It's a treasure that's one of a kind. She want her to remember that to her dad and she, Penelope, are always our most precious treasure. And just like that, the time passed quickly until finally, the Emperor asked, how is she doing with the dress? Penelope thought, it was the day of the wedding. It's been 1 month since she accepted His Majesty's proposal. It's finally the day of her wedding. She is really getting married. Rubia said she looks like a goddess. Her mother said she knows she is biased since Penelope is her daughter, but she looks really pretty. Perian said, congratulations. Don't forget to put me in a high position once she is the Empress. Penelope replied, in his dreams. Her father stated he is proud of her and loves her. Penelope replied she loves him too. After some time, Penelope thought they did a rehearsal, but now that the real ceremony is beginning, she is extremely nervous. The Emperor stated to leave everything to him, and then they started walking. Nobles whispered that they couldn't believe both of them were walking down the aisle while holding hands, as that goes against all the rules of decorum that the imperial family should follow. One of them said she thinks it's nice to see. The priest started the ceremony. Penelope thought it was just one night. After that one night spent together by accident, her life has changed so much she could never have predicted it. She doesn't know what will happen in the future, but for some reason, she feels like she will be okay as long as she is with this man. The Marquis said not only has he appointed commoners as officers, but he has also made the daughter of a baron the Empress. What's to become of this empire? The Count saw the prince. While the princess remembered the prince telling her not to do anything until the wedding is over, the Count thought he wonders what the prince is planning, or was war never anything but an excuse he used to get him to cooperate with him. The prince came, and the Marquis said he thought the prince had returned to his kingdom, as he did not see him during the ceremony. The prince replied he had to give his congratulations as the representative of Turin. He had to skip the ceremony this morning because the princess was unwell. As her older brother, he could not leave his sick sister alone. The princess stated she is sorry he had to miss it. The prince told them he will schedule something so they can meet again soon. Then he thought he finally gets to see her face, the unfortunate woman who is being chosen by Bart. Then the Emperor and Empress arrived. The prince was shocked and said, Penelope. The princess replied, so he knows her name. It's that woman over there. She is the daughter of a baron and doesn't know her place. Will she dance with him? Penelope replied, of course. Then they started dancing. The prince and princess were very angry. The prince shattered the glass in his hand. The princess asked about his hand. The prince replied, stay right here. Penelope saw that someone was going outside. The prince thought, Penelope is the daughter of a baron. He was the one who caused Penelope's house to be set on fire and put her in a coma. What has he done? Then he remembered his mother telling him he must get revenge. The prince thought, of course, he will do it, mother, he will make sure to avenge her himself. Penelope thought she is exhausted. She was up since dawn getting ready, and now she is hungry as a bear. She would like nothing more than to fling her clothes off and lie in bed. Oops, no more yawning. The Emperor smiled and said it seems she is tired. He will finish here. Go rest in the bedchamber. Penelope replied she is sorry. She is leaving first. His Majesty should also take care not to push himself, and retire early to get a good night's sleep. The Emperor asked if she is planning to sleep in a separate bed on their wedding night. Penelope thought she forgot there is one thing left to do now that they have had their wedding. Penelope replied he makes such funny jokes. It would be inexcusable to abandon one's husband when he is the emperor. After some time, Penelope thought he is sly like a fox, playing her like a fiddle. Then twin maids introduced themselves. Penelope also introduced herself and said she is pleased to make their acquaintance. Then she thought, why are they reacting like that? Penelope asked if she did something wrong because she is not familiar with imperial etiquette. The maids apologized and said they were too shocked to reply because nobody has ever spoken to them in such a polite way before. They told her she doesn't have to stand on ceremony with them. Penelope noted it since they've been through a lot even though they are still young. After some time, Penelope thought this is the natural sequence of things as they are now married. She does have experience with it from her previous life, but she doesn't remember the exact details of how it went. All she has are vague feelings that it was scary and painful. It's okay, His Majesty is different. She is really going to spend the night together with him. She wondered if there is anything to drink. It smells sweet. Is it a fruit tea? She feels like she is becoming relaxed. Okay, just one more glass. On the other hand, the Emperor thought it took him a while to wrap up the banquet. This would be their second time sharing a bed together since that night. Penelope and he are finally going to be intimate tonight. The Emperor said her name, and Penelope hugged him. The Emperor thought he can't believe Penelope is so eager, a sweet scent like Helenia flowers. Then he thought, what? Penelope spoke. This is nice, Your Majesty. Where did he get this washboard? It's fantastic. The Emperor thought, could it be? Did she drink all of that by herself? Penelope continued. He said he would be late but brought her a washboard. Her husband is the best. The Emperor replied, let's have her lie down first. Penelope said, wow, he is a strong one. The Emperor thought it was like déjà vu. Are they just going to sleep on their wedding night too? Suddenly, Penelope spread all over the bed. The Emperor thought not only did she get drunk on their wedding night, but she is also driving her husband away from the bed. Then he looked at her body. The Emperor blushed and thought tonight is not the only night they will have together. He kissed her on the forehead and thought, be warned that he will give her as good as he gets and more next time. After that, the Emperor lay down on the sofa and thought, he will have to get rid of all the alcohol in the palace soon. In the morning, Penelope thought that was a good night's rest. Where is she? Oh, she got married. But how come she doesn't see any sign of even an ant having dropped by the room, much less His Majesty? Could there be a chance that she was abandoned? There is no way that a man who had pursued her like that would abandon her. Now that she thinks about it, she remembers seeing His Majesty for a brief moment. What? Could it be that she lost all her memories of the wedding night? Then both maids came and told her they brought Her Majesty breakfast. Penelope asked, thanks. But what about His Majesty? Vicky replied she believes he finished his training session, which started at dawn, and is now attending to his official duties at his office. Penelope thought he was training at dawn the day after his wedding. He is busy as a beaver. Hold on, if he left early, then doesn't that mean he did come in here last night? Bellis asked, is the food not to her taste? Vicky spoke, they will take it away at once. Suddenly, a plate fell on the floor. Both of them were frightened and said they were sorry. Bellis stated she will take the punishment in Vicky's place. Please forgive them. Penelope saw Vicky's hand was burned and said, if they are sorry, then the right thing to do is show it through their actions and not just their words. On the other hand, the Emperor thought she should be awake by now. Then he heard a scream. The Emperor thought surely it can't be. Penelope continued, oh no, her hand must have slipped. Won't somebody help her? Then they started helping her. Penelope told them she had no choice but to overlook the mistake they made a few moments ago. Both of them thought she did that on purpose to put their minds at ease, then said, thank you, Your Majesty. They will attend to her the best they can. Penelope stated, it's really no problem. They are all living under the same roof. The two of them should be like her little sisters. Both looked at each other. Penelope thought, now that she thinks about it, to them she is the boss's wife. Did she go too far? Penelope spoke. Well, she just thought it would be reassuring to have acquaintances who she can treat like sisters. Both of them replied they will forever consider it a great honor. The emperor saw this and thought he was going to ask if she wanted to eat lunch together. But it would be difficult to barge into such a situation. She never fails to surprise him. In the next scene, Penelope thought she decided to learn more about the imperial castle. Before officially starting to carry out her duties as the empress, she asked what is the most famous thing in the palace. Bellis replied, the Suspend Lake is famous, but the most notable would be the Helena flower beds in the central garden. After some time, Penelope thought, wow, the color of the flower is similar to the color of His Majesty's hair and eyes. What a beautiful flower. Then the princess came and spoke. She did not expect to run into her here. Miss Zekalian. Wait, she is the empress now. It was a force of habit because she often heard Penelope's name come up through rumors. Penelope asked, who is she? The princess introduced herself as Yulia Turin, the princess royal of the kingdom of Turin. Penelope stated, well, nice to meet her. Then thought, how odd, she is pretty, but for some reason, the way she talks makes me think she had an extra helping of rudeness for breakfast. Vicky told her the princess is a special guest who is staying in the West Palace. The princess spoke. Why have the two of them not curtsied to her when she is royalty? It seems they think they are above the customs of the palace because they have been chosen as Her Majesty's maids. Both of them apologized and asked for forgiveness. The princess spoke. The empress may not know this because she is not familiar with this palace yet, but if maids are rude, their masters are held accountable. Penelope stated, there is something she would like to ask of both of them. To her knowledge, imperial etiquette states that a person can't initiate a conversation with someone of high rank unless they are spoken to first, so what is going on here? Oh, there is a position that royal women can hold that is higher than the empress. Vicky replied there are none besides the previous empress. Penelope spoke. The princess approached her as if she had a right to, so she wondered if she had been mistaken. The princess thought the nerve of this lowly wench, and replied she apologized. Please forgive her disrespectful behavior. Penelope stated it's fine. Everyone makes mistakes, but she should be more careful in the future. People will scorn her for being ill-bred if she acts that way in front of others. Also, these girls are doing a good job in accordance with what she has taught them, so the princess doesn't have to concern herself with their behavior. The princess thought, does Penelope think she will back down? Then spoke. Actually, there is something she wants to tell her. It was she who served the emperor in the closest capacity for 10 years before Her Majesty arrived. Then she thought, Bart is hers. He is not someone she can dare covet, not while she is nobody who suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Penelope replied, so what? Princess spoke. If she doesn't believe her, she can confirm it herself. His Majesty has the mark of a golden dragon on his left shoulder. Penelope replied that's all she wanted to say. Actually, she was about to look at some flowers, so take care, princess. Penelope thought, look at that rotten egg trying her hardest to get something to stick. She has 40 years of experience dealing with people like her. Penelope asked, by the way, about what she said about serving him for 10 years. That's a long time for a guest to stay at a place, isn't it? Bellis replied, after the war ended 10 years ago, she came here from Turin with His Majesty as a hostage, but she doesn't have that kind of relationship with His Majesty. If anything, it seemed he held her at arm's length. They don't mind what she said. Look at that, the petals are closing up. Penelope thought she can't pay attention to the flowers for some reason. After some time, Penelope thought, if she came here with His Majesty, then it likely means His Majesty brought her here. They might have been lovers in the past. Penelope said, why worry over something that happened in the past? Everyone has a past. Emperor asked, who is she talking about? Penelope spoke, he must have been busy the whole day. Emperor replied he did have a lot of work to do, but actually, he came here to see her this afternoon. But he left because she was in the middle of a conversation. He could not be with her during the day. but he is going to take advantage of all her time at night. Then they are trying to kiss each other. Suddenly Penelope thought about the princess. Then she said she is hungry. It's already time to eat dinner. She wonders what's for dinner. Emperor thought, what? She is really good at escaping. There is no need to be impatient because the night is long. Then at dinner, the emperor asked if the food was not to her liking. Penelope replied, no. It's just that she is a little tired because she worked for a long time today while taking over the palace. The emperor asked what she thought of the palace. Penelope replied she had only seen the East Palace, but one thing she did notice is that it is really huge. The emperor asked if she had been to the Central Garden. Penelope replied yes, but there she. Then she stopped. The emperor asked what happened at the garden. Penelope replied she saw a really big bug, then thought she almost slipped up and told him. After some time, Penelope thought she could barely taste her food because of that creature called Yulia or Gruelia or whatever. Maybe it would indeed be better for her to ask His Majesty about the princess. She might just be opening Pandora's box. Seriously, why has she been worrying about this? The emperor came and grabbed her. Penelope said, oh dear, she forgot to wash up for the night. The emperor replied he did not think she needed to wash up. Penelope said the thing is she did not even wash her hands. The emperor smelled her hands and said they seemed clean. Penelope stated her hair is greasy. The emperor replied it smells good. Then he kissed her back. Penelope thought she is still not mentally prepared. The emperor saw that she was trembling. Then he said sorry, he was rushing things. He was so happy about being married to her that he had forgotten. She still has not fully opened her heart to him. He can wait until she is ready. Penelope replied thanks. The emperor said but he hopes she won't make him wait too long, because even now he is greatly restraining himself. Penelope thought about that mark, so the princess mentioned about the mark really exists. Penelope asked His Majesty about that mark. The emperor replied it's a mark that appears on the descendants of the Dermian imperial line. Penelope also asked then are there other people besides her who have seen it? The emperor replied almost no one. Penelope thought so that means there are people who have seen it. She said she is thirsty. The fruit tea she had yesterday was good. The emperor replied that was not fruit tea. That was alcohol made from Helenia flowers. It was in the room because of his insomnia. Penelope thought no wonder she doesn't remember anything, then asked did she do something weird. The emperor started smiling. Penelope asked what's that look on his face supposed to mean? Did something happen? Emperor replied no, nothing really happened. On the other hand, the princess shouted the nerve of her to talk so arrogantly when she is lowborn. People will scorn her. How did she talk that way to her? She is so full of herself because she is the empress now. And Yulson has been weird ever since the wedding. She can't just wait. She did not spend 10 years in Levada just idling away. Then Lady Xania came. The princess thanked her for coming at this late hour. She knew this was a sudden request. She needed her wisdom. Then thought wait Penelope, she will show her who has the bigger influence in this palace. The lady replied she is honored that she could be of help to Her Royal Highness. By the way, she doesn't seem very well. Is something worrying her? The princess replied he can't fool her sharp eyes. To tell her the truth, she went to greet Her Majesty, and she humiliated her in front of the help. The lady said how dare a daughter of a baron act that way to Her Highness. The princess continued she can see why Penelope would get the wrong idea, as she has been by His Majesty's side for a long time. She thinks it will be hard to clear up the misunderstanding because she already hates her. Could the lady help her? She is popular with people. The lady replied don't worry, she has a great idea, leave it to her. Penelope said thanks. She has faith the lady can handle it. Next scene. The teacher tells her the history of the empire and the imperial family. The mark of the gold dragon is a characteristic that only manifests on the direct heir that will take the throne. Penelope asked have there ever been cases of it appearing on people other than the direct heir? The teacher replied none that they know of at the present. Penelope thought so the only person with that mark is His Majesty. After some time, the emperor came and asked is she busy? Penelope replied she was about to take a rest. Isn't His Majesty the one who is busy? The emperor replied he may be busy but he has enough time to come see her face. How was her lesson? Penelope said there are so many things she has to learn. She does enjoy reading books, but when she actually started studying, she found that she is still very ignorant. The emperor stated he is sorry he burdened her with heavy responsibilities. Penelope replied no, of course she needs to do it since she said she would. She would be a scumbag, not an empress, if she did nothing but loaf about on the taxpayers' dime. The emperor said he is so lucky to have her as his wife. He will work hard as a husband so that she can think the same of him. Penelope said there is something she wants to know. She met the princess in the central garden the other day. The emperor asked did she do something to her? Penelope replied no, they just talked. She heard that he brought the princess over from Turin, so she was wondering if he and the princess were involved in some way. The emperor asked is she jealous? Penelope replied no, she was just curious. The emperor stated nothing like she is imagining happened. He actually hates the Turin royal family. Penelope asked did something happen between him and them? The emperor continued the kingdom of Turin and Levada, the empire, have long been in conflict. They only had small regional wars, but not a big one. Then about 12 years ago, as soon as his father lay down in bed because of an illness, Turin declared war on us. He went to battle as soon as he took the throne, and after more than 2 years of battle, he finally had the king of Turin surrender. They won the war. But when he returned, his father had already passed away. Penelope asked he could not even be there when he died. The emperor replied his father gave orders not to let it be known, because it might have a negative impact on the war. But that's not the key reason why he hates the Turin royal family. It's commonly known as the Fleur-beat. It was a series of large-scale massacres that happened on the continent after the war, when it became clear that they would lose. The Turin military set fire to all the towns that cooperated with the imperial family. Penelope asked how they could do such a cruel thing. The emperor stated that the gruesome scene still pops into his head. Before falling asleep when he closes his eyes, he would have been able to stop them if he had only arrived faster. He assured her that she has nothing to worry about, swearing that he never did anything dishonorable with the princess. She is the only one for him. That was true in the past, is true now, and will be true in the future too. She doesn't have to feel uneasy. Penelope thought, can mages read minds? She felt reassured because he always tells her what she wants to hear the most, then said she did not feel even a teensy bit uneasy. After some time, the emperor thought it was unusual to see Penelope being jealous. She is really cute. The count came in. The emperor stated, it's been a while, Count. He probably guessed why he called him here. It's about the arson at the baron's house. His servant confessed that they accidentally set fire to the house and ran away. The count replied, it was his fault for not keeping a tight rein on my servants. He have no excuses. The emperor said he wouldn't beat around the bush. Did Prince put him up to it? The count was shocked and thought, does he already know everything? If I willingly admit it, it will be the end of the Varmans, and even Rubia will become the daughter of a traitor, the count said. The arson at the baron's house was simply an accident. He is not afraid, and he is not smart enough to even guess at what incident has to do with the crown prince of Turin. The emperor thought it seems he doesn't plan to willingly confess the truth. The emperor stated, the empress said something to me a while ago. She wanted the people who made those she loved sad to cry tears of regret. As he love and care about the empress very much. He planned to give her anything she wants, no matter what it is. Bring the evidence of the real perpetrator. Bear in mind that this is his last chance to make up for his mistake. Oliver asked. He hurried off without even drinking tea. What kind of frightful things did he say to him? The emperor replied. He only told him to bring information about the prince. Oliver asked. He still don't understand why the count, who was so loyal to the late emperor, would communicate in secret with the Turin prince. The emperor stated, it's probably because he is afraid. Many members of the current noble party fought in the war 10 years ago. They personally saw what the Turin military did back then, so they are already scared. Because they are afraid the same thing might happen again. Now, this is the first opportunity in 10 years. Fleur-Beat and the arson at the Baron's house are going to make him pay a just price for all the crimes he has committed throughout the years. On the other hand, Penelope thought the fundamental problem had not been taken care of, but she felt at ease because His Majesty said it so firmly. Is this why they say the quality of married life depends on how the couple acts toward each other? After that, Lady Xania came and said she really wanted to have a private meeting with her. She took up too much of her time when she is a busy person. This is a suggestion to host a salon. Lady spoke. In the past, the late Empress would periodically host a salon and chat with noblewomen. There are noblewomen who would like the tradition to be revived now that they have you as their Empress, so she came here as a representative. Penelope thought this is a problem. She has never even hosted a social gathering before. Penelope replied, "That's a good suggestion, but she is not ready." Lady spoke. She is sure His Majesty will also be happy if she continue what the late Empress used to do. Penelope thought that makes sense. He even kept his mother's dress safe with great care. Penelope stated, "All right, she will host a salon, but she have never held one before, so she don't know how to prepare for one." Lady told her, "One of the noblewomen attending happens to be good at these kinds of things. She will ask her to make the preparations." Penelope thought it would be convenient and great for her if someone good at it made the preparations. She spoke, "Then please ask her." After that, Penelope thought that gathering with the married ladies reminded her of the time she joined a savings club, because Miha begged her to. It was fun because it was lively. But why did she quit that club again? In the next scene, Lady spoke. "Listen everyone, Her Highness made all the preparations for today alone." Penelope thought. After seeing her ugly mug, it came back to her. She remembered why she quit the savings club. It was because Miha took all the money and ran. Noble ladies spoke. "No wonder it's being held in the West Palace." The princess spoke. "That's right. It makes sense because she is familiar with how things are in the palace." Lady said. "She is amazing. The princess prepared such a grand salon in a short amount of time." Noble ladies spoke. "Isn't the actual host of today's salon Her Majesty? It's not right to order around a princess of a kingdom like she is a servant. She might not have what it takes to be an empress." Princess thought, "This gathering is only made up of noblewomen who are close to her. Nobody here will take Penelope's side." Then she spoke, "Her Majesty, she don't look so well. Is something the matter?" Penelope thought it's like a repeat of this situation from before. Back then, His Majesty saved her, but it's different now. Penelope stated, she can't believe it. The lady said there would be someone who would gladly make the preparations, since she is busy with palace affairs, so she entrusted the task to them. But she had no idea that one would turn out to be Her Highness. "Thanks for the surprise present," Princess replied. She is glad Her Majesty liked it. Penelope thought, this is known as, "He who smelt it, dealt it." Then she remembered in her first life, a customer said there was not enough red bean paste in the bread. She spoke, "Oh goodness, please forgive the terrible offense she have committed." The customer replied, "She don't have to be that apologetic." Princess thought, "That idiot. But that's just the appetizer, time for the main event." Princess stated, she prepared something special for this occasion. Then she started preparing the tea. All of them were watching. Princess continued, she have a tea set and tea leaves from Turin to show off Turin's tea culture. She hope it's to her liking. Penelope replied, "Thanks," and started drinking. Princess thought, she won't be able to hold her head high as the Empress any longer. Penelope thought it might look like a sugar cube at a glance, but it's chock full of strong spices. The princess thought now show everyone how undignified she really was. Penelope replied, "It's so good." She loved the taste. The princess thought people usually gag just from the smell, so how did she find it good? There must be something wrong with her taste buds and nose. Noble ladies asked, "By the way, don't they smell something odd? They feel sick for some reason." The princess thought she should get rid of the tea before anyone found out. She said, "The tea is lukewarm. Go make a fresh pot." Penelope asked, "There is still some warm tea left. Shall she pour it since the princess prepared it for her? Here, please drink it." The princess thought this idiot pretended as if nothing was wrong on purpose. It was so she could get back at her. She thought the princess wouldn't be able to do what she did. The next moment, the princess thought it feels like she have to vomit. Penelope speak grab into this, then slapped her back, and then the princess started vomiting. After that, she was fully drained. Penelope stated, she should not stifle coughs when she is choking. It's a good thing they resolved it before it got worse, because if it went down the airway, it could have been serious. The princess thought she couldn't believe it. Why did she have to be humiliated like this? Then she shouted, just wait, she will pay her back for what she did. In the next scene, the emperor hugged her and asked, is she all right? He heard that this salon was being held in the West Palace. Did they do something to her? Penelope replied, no, nothing happened, and the tea she was served was delicious, but it didn't end on a good note because of an incident. Then she told him the story, and at the end, the princess yelled, just she wait. The princess will pay her back for what she did, and then she left. She had never received such thanks before in her life. The emperor started laughing, then said, as expected, princess is no match for her. Nothing may have happened this time, but try to stay away from her in the future. On the other hand, the prince was sleeping and dreaming. In the dream, his father asked if he meant he kept losing to the crown prince. He was just like his mother, both useless. The prince woke up. Then he heard the princess speaking. She will never forgive her. How dare she? That idiot is going to pay next time. The prince asked, did she do something to the empress? Like this video. Hit the like button and subscribe for more videos.